There we go. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to review the movie. Oh, wow, that seemed okay. I don't know if you could hear that or not. So, today we are going to review the movie Deathproof, which was the Quentin Tarantino half of the Grindhouse, I guess, double feature. The first one, yes, was Robert Rodriguez. Quentin Tarantino might have had some part in it graphic-wise, I do believe, but this one was his film. I think just his film alone. I don't think Robert Rodriguez has anything to do with this one. Now, I might be wrong on that, so don't quote me, but it just says director Quentin Tarantino. So, however, this is not a monster movie, so this review probably won't come out till October, because this was more of a horror film. Not your typical horror film, but I still consider it a horror movie, or at least of that genre. It was definitely different on the take of horror, I suppose. What was the name of that Steven Spielberg film where it was just like you never saw the driver of the transport? Damn, I can't think now. But it was a good one. But the transport was really supposed to be the actual, like, I guess, villain or killer, obviously, because you never do see the driver in that movie. So this was kind of like that in a way, but I guess you do see the driver, so the driver is kind of the enemy as well as the car. So in the beginning of the movie, we see this car pop up quite a bit, and then these three women, was it three? I believe it was just three. Maybe it was four, actually. I guess it was a group of four women in the beginning, too, wasn't it? They're all traveling to this, I don't know, cabin together or something. And anyway, they stop off at this bar. One of them is a DJ for a radio company. And she's called Jungle Julia. I believe that was her name. And so they, on their way, one of the friends spots this car at this, I don't know, corner store or whatever, where they were stopped along the way, I suppose. And she's obviously kind of like a little afraid of the car. And then her friend's talking to her. Maybe it was a restaurant they were at first. I think it might have been a restaurant that they were going into. Anyway, and she's talking about how if somebody comes up to her that night and says a certain poem to him, she has to give that person a lap dance. So Kurt Russell's character is sitting at the bar eating nachos, and he keeps looking back at that table, and they have to call her Butterfly. That was the other rule. So now I don't really know why in this Netflix version that they took out certain, because the actual runtime on the movie on here on IMDb says 2 hours and 7 minutes. So I do remember it actually being longer. So they just kind of removed, I guess, a couple parts on the Netflix version, which seems kind of odd because the runtime on the Netflix version was only 1 hour and 40 minutes. But anyhow, so he does, yeah, because see, there was the whole scene with the lap dance. That's what I thought. Because I remember watching this movie before, and actually, I did like it, so. But anyhow, the first group of girls was Vanessa Fertillo, was Arlene, sorry. Sydney Tamila Portier, I'm going to say, was Jungle Julia. Was Rose McGowan one of the first ones? She must have been. I'm trying to think what role she had in this movie. She was Pam. But was Pam in the first? Yeah, Pam was definitely in the first group, that's for sure. I think. She must have been. She must have been one of the girls in the first group. And Jordan Ladd played Shanna. Right. Shanna Banana, not Shauna Banana. That was one of the funnier lines in the movie. So anyway, there's this girl at the bar talking to Kurt Russell's character who plays Stuntman Mike. Hopefully that's what he's cast as, at least. Yep, Stuntman Mike. So he's talking to a bunch of people in the bar, actually, and the bar owner's name, who was played by himself, Quentin Tarantino, was Warren, the bar owner. So obviously he knows these three girls, and he knows who Stuntman Mike is. So both of them frequent the bar, I guess, that they're at. So that's kind of like a familiar setting for these Quentin Tarantino movies, is that they all somehow meet up at the same place. And that's how, the death toll starts, or the death count starts, I guess. So anyway, he ends up giving this girl a ride home, but not a ride home at all. She gets in the car, and he says to her, "Which way are you going, right or left?" And she says, "Right." And he goes, "Well, that's too bad, because we're both going left." He goes, "If you had said right, you might not have had to been scared right away. But, seeing as we're going left, you might want to start getting scared immediately." So his car is set up in a way, obviously, because he's a stuntman and a psychopath in this movie. He is I guess, serial murderer, as they described it in the little brief explanation of the Netflix thing. So yeah, he ends up killing this girl because the one side is just set up as like a camera box, I guess, or to have the cameraman in the car with him when he's doing the stunts. So it's obviously not set up to be death-proof, as he described his car, because he says to the girl when she's pleading for her life while they're driving down the road, he turns to her and says, "Now, this car is death-proof, but to get the benefits, you have to be sitting on my side of the car." Because obviously his side of the car has a real seat in it. Is it a three-point belt or 5-point belt that goes over your shoulders and then straps in? I think it might be 3-point belt. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. My safety belts that well, I guess. Anyhow, he's pretty rigged up on his side, so he's going to be safe regardless of what he does. So clearly he's obviously been stalking these three girls. Arlene, Jungle Julia, and four girls, Pam and Shanna. Even though he says that he hasn't, because how else would he know what the poem was without having heard it? Because clearly he wasn't supposed to be the guy that comes up and tells her this poem. So right from the get-go, you know that. So anyhow, they're jamming out when their one friend shows up to the bar finally. They're jamming out in her car, I guess, on their way to the cabin or wherever they were going. Some sort of getaway holiday type thing that they were doing. So he passes them on the road. I don't know why I said woad. Anyway, he passes them on the road, and then he turns his car around, shuts off the lights, and comes back directly at them. It's dark out, so obvious, and his car is completely blacked out, so you wouldn't see anything coming at you, regardless of, you'd have to be really looking, paying attention. Obviously they're not, because they're jamming out to the song that she requested over the radio, that Jungle Julia requested over the radio. So he flicks on his headlights at the last second and runs directly, over top of their car, which is crazy. And it actually shows it a couple times just to show you the way each girl died. One of them got their leg dismembered, as well as, I'm sure, many other parts. How did the driver was I don't know whether she just got a bunch of glass in her or what. The one girl in the back got her face ran over by the tire. So yeah, your whole head would just be melted. And how did the fourth one go? I can't remember how the one on this side of the car went. I'm gonna have to watch this again just to remember, but yeah, it was gruesome, pretty gruesome. Obviously it's Quentin Tarantino, so of course it's going to be over the top. Now, I wouldn't say this was the most over the top that he's ever done, because it just happened so quick, and he had to get that many angles of each individual death. But it worked. It worked for this scene. And then obviously Stuntman Mike's car rolls over and you see him in the hospital with, which is funny because I believe it was Dr. Block that was taking care of him. And it was the same girl. Yeah, Dr. Dakota Block. They just changed her name, I think, a little bit. And even the twins from the first movie were in this, so that's kind of funny. But anyhow, so then obviously he stalks a new set of girls, who were Zobel. I guess she was just playing herself. Rosario Dawson, who played Abernathy. Tracy Thomas, who played Kim. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who played Lee. So now he's after these girls. Clearly he wasn't expecting them to fight back. So it kind of starts off the same way. He's following them around, clearly targeting them. And they, God, which one was it that wanted the... It was Zoe that wanted the car. She's seen this ad for a car, so they're going out to get this... Was it Dodge Challenger, I believe? It was a certain year Dodge Challenger that she really wanted. So she's come over from Australia to obviously get this car, and she wants to do some crazy stunt with Kim, where they tie these like belts to the door, and she just goes on the hood, and they drive as fast as possible. Obviously, these guys are adrenaline junkies, and I guess they were stunt women themselves, so clearly they kind of have some idea of what they're doing, and they've obviously done it before, I guess, because they have this huge discussion about not doing it. So anyhow, the guy who's giving them the car lets them take it out, and then Kurt Russell's there watching them go up and down the... I don't know what it was like a back road highway, I guess, sort of type deal. So anyway, all of a sudden, they see him come over the hill. Now, really, would you be freaking out if you just saw a random car coming fast at you? I don't know. I don't think I would be. I just let them be thinking they were about to pass, or maybe, who knows, join in on this stunt. Obviously, once he hits them once, you know his intentions aren't good. So he chases them down the road until finally he, I guess, sort of like ditches his own car a little bit and then gets out and says, "Now, ladies, that was fun." And then he goes to say see ya, and Kim shoots him because, now I don't know if she was actually had the occupation she said earlier in the movie or not, but she carries a gun regardless of that. So she shoots him, he rides off, then Zoe gets up out of the bushes and goes and grabs a pipe, and they decide that they're going to go after him and kill him. I don't really think the gun wound was quite as bad as they made it out to be in the movie, but it was kind of a weird change of pace where he was the killer in the beginning, and then all of a sudden these girls go after him, and now they're almost the bad guys. So at the end of the movie, you're almost rooting for Stuntman Mike to make it away from them, because they're almost more psychotic than he was. Just going after him. Like, why wouldn't they just let him go and hope that he didn't have anything else in his car with him, right, to end up just finishing them off. But anyhow, so they go after him. They eventually get him to a point where they flipped his car and taken the door off and basically dismantled his entire so-called Deathproof car with their own Dodge Challenger car. I can't remember the year of it, but anyhow, then they drag him out of the car and proceed to just literally beat the ever-loving crap out of him in the middle of the road until he's dead, I guess. And then Abernathy just takes her high heel boot and just puts it right through his head. So the ending of the movie was a little odd, because I thought it was kind of weird that he would just all of a sudden decide to apologize to these girls just because they decided to come back and try to attack him. Like, you would think that would give you more aggression towards the situation, but I guess maybe he wasn't expecting anybody to fight back like that, and he thought it was going to be easy like the last time. But I don't know why he decided to do it in broad daylight as opposed to doing it in the dark. the second time around. It seemed kind of weird. But anyhow, I am going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. And I did enjoy this one far more than Planet Terror because I think what did I give it, a 4? I think I only gave that a 4. This one I'm giving an 8. It was far better than the Robert Rodriguez movie, just because the story actually made some sense as to, like, somebody following somebody else just for the thrill of killing them. And obviously he had done this before even the first time, because he knew what he was doing. So, before he even did it. Now, was he an actual stuntman, or was that all just a story? Because he seemed to know, or have some sort of background. Obviously, he knew how to death-proof his own car, so he must have had some sort of experience with stuntman. And whether it was as extravagant as he had said or not, I don't know. But he clearly had some experience. Or maybe he was just, had been around cars his whole life. Who knows? Who knows with this guy? He didn't ever say his... Well, I guess Mike was his first name, and then he said his brother was Stuntman Bob or something, so I guess his brother got him into stuntmanning, and he was talking about all these TV shows that nobody had ever heard of. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, I think the ending was just odd. The ending was a little odd. The fact that they just decided to go back and murder him after he had hurt them a little bit, but not actually done any real physical damage and just run off into this. They could have just let him go. But yeah, killing him in the middle of broad daylight, like, what are they going to do with the body and the car? Because it's destroyed. I don't think it was even drivable after that point. Neither car was, so it's kind of, yeah. I wish they kind of had showed what they would have had to do with those two things, but oh well, we don't get to see. Or maybe maybe because this movie was cut short on Netflix, I'll have to go, because I think it says it's on Amazon too. Or one of the Amazon channels, is it? Watch on Super Channel with Prime Video channels. Yeah, okay, so maybe I'll have to go and watch that version compared to this one and see if there's anything extra. Whether it's earlier in the movie or later in the movie. Who knows? Anyhow, I think that's all I have to say for this film. I've rated it now. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. This one will probably be going in October. I believe I said that earlier. But, yeah, you probably won't see this till October because I think I'm going to add it to, like, my horror month. I'm not really sure what else I'm going to add, but this will be the first one that's going into the October review folder. So, there you go. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.